How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And you know what time it is. It is time for the joke of the day. If you're new to this channel, we do this 5 days out of the week. Maybe you had maybe you had a stressful day, or maybe it was the market conditions while you came to watch this video, plus hear one of my corny jokes. Here it comes. Why wouldn't the sesame seed leave the casino? He was on a roll, right? But anyways, what we're going to be talking about today is OCGN, which ended up having a green day. And of course, we ended up getting a big time update from WHO, which I'm going to be sharing inside this video. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you are a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the update that we got from WHO in regards to Covaxin. I can't wait to share it with you guys. And then secondly, we're going to be doing a technical analysis, taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support, we want to know resistance, or what are some things that we can look out for, especially as this week progresses. And then we're going to go on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information. We want to know, are shorts still heavily vested inside of this play? And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. Were institutions loading up on shares today? Was it mainly selling and so forth? We're going to find out. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more key details. So let's get to it. Now let's get into this update from WHO. So we have WHO to finalize nod to ocugen partnered Covaxin next week. Sources. This is from Benzinga, but I also did see it on their official Twitter, but I'll go through it very quickly. The World Health Organization said a decision on the emergency use listing of India's COVID-19 vaccine Covaxin will be finalized next week. Ocugen Inc. is the U.S. partner for the vaccine. In a tweet, WHO said WHO and independent group of experts are scheduled to meet next week to carry out the risk/benefit assessment and come to a final decision whether to grant the emergency use listing to Covaxin. WHO further wrote that Bharat Biotech, which manufactured Covaxin, had submitted additional information on its request on September the 27th, which is currently being reviewed. WHO assessment will be finalized next week. Sources told CNN News 18 that the Strategic Advisory Group of Experts, which is SAGE, what we spoke about, had submitted recommendations to WHO concerning Covaxin. Sources said there were no objections from any of the SAGE members. So overall, this is good to see, and I know we have to wait a little bit longer, which is going to be next week, but I'm completely cool with that. So now let's jump into the technical analysis. So we're going to do a technical analysis for OCGN. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $6.93, being up 2.67%. On the low, it tested $6.72, and then on the high, testing $7.59. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 33.549 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days being at 12 million. So taking this into consideration and having this above average volume, we could see we had some strength in the stock today. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is the 1 year daily chart, we can see from the RSI down below, it's right around 45.54. So again, not too different from what we had previously. And then when we take a look at what's happening on our chart here, we are below all of our major moving averages. But one thing that I want to bring to your attention very quickly here, on the low, we ended up testing 670. This is an area that we were quite familiar with, and we also did close in this particular area as well. But one thing to keep in mind, as far as for resistance is concerned, we saw it right here at the 100-day at $7.59. So going into tomorrow, I would love to see us actually revisit this area. But keep in mind, due to the news that we got back from WHO, I wouldn't be surprised if we do decide to pull back. And if it does decide to pull back, I just want to make sure you guys are actually prepared for that. But if we can have that momentum above that 759, of course, I want to look forward to seeing this move to $8, which we know already is a psychological area for OCGN. Now, as far as the $7 level is concerned, I would love to see us get back to to this particular area. But if we don't get it, then I'm completely fine, because I think things are definitely looking good going into next week, and especially as the rest of this week progresses, as long as we decide to trade within this range, being in previous areas of support that we have proven in the past, especially in the mid sixes and so forth. So let's see what happens going into tomorrow. So we're going to take a look at the short interest information for OCGN. So when we see the dark pool short volume ratio, it is around 61.29%. And when we take a look at the dark pool short volume, it is around 2.2 million, just over that. As we scroll down on the page, short shares availability is at 400,000, updated 15 minutes ago, and the short borrow free rate is at 1.78%. Now, when we take a look at the history of the short volume ratio, we can see for October the 1st close, which is last week, it was at 60.27, and then for the close yesterday being at 61.29. So it is definitely creeping up, and it's part of the reasons why OCGN does have short squeeze potential, and why in regards to the price action, it is very volatile, and there's a lot of manipulation that could be inside of this play as well. So there's some things that I want to bring to your attention. Now, as far as going for the rest of this week, and as well as going into next week, this will continue, and these are one of the things you need to understand if you're inside of this play. But for the most part, I'm looking forward to seeing how well we do, especially with that update from WHO. So now let's go into the order flow. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for OCGN. So we can see here on the inflow is at 44.76, and then on the outflow it was 48.45. When we take a look at the breakdown, we had 0 on the large, 28.81 on the medium, and we had 15.95 on the small. On the outflow side on the large, we had 0.71, and then on the medium we had 32.73, and then on the small we had 15.01. So taking a look at that breakdown, we could see on the retail side there was a lot more buying than there was selling, but there was still a lot of selling overall in general, profit taking and so forth. When we take a look at the medium orders, you could see selling won out, and especially if we see the large orders, and when we take a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see it right there, the outflow being negative 705.43. And this is of no shock to me whatsoever. Many people are playing, hey, buy the rumor, sell the news, and that's exactly what we got. We ended up having that sage meeting. So seeing the reaction that we had with the stock, that's why I was like, you know what, it was bound to happen. Do know there will be a lot more volatility as this week progresses, but what we know for a fact is who's going to be giving us a response sometime next week. So now let's jump into the final thoughts, and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for OCGN, it's going to be very interesting to see how this week plays out, due to the fact that we are going to be getting our decision from WHO sometime next week. So I could see a lot of volatility in this play. I could also see a lot of pullbacks. So again, if you are interested or you've been watching from the sidelines, you want to consider getting into a position, make sure you do your homework and you do your due diligence and you know all of the risks that are involved. When we went on Fintel, one thing that we can see that this play continues to have short squeeze potential. Shorts are still heavily vested inside of this play. So you know there's going to be a lot of manipulation that comes with it. Another thing also to go over, there are many traders who are inside of this play who are going off of buying the rumor and selling the news. So that's why we ended up seeing a strong sell-off when it made that strong pop inside the morning. Inside of the Discord, many members were able to take advantage of this. I was talking about buying those call options when it was well below $7. Many members were able to make 60% on their calls. I myself, I sold some of my calls and I was able to make 41% on that as well. This is why I say, if you know the price action that goes on with OCGN, there is the ability to make profits on this play, especially if you're going into options. You can do it with shares trading off of the fluctuations, but I personally don't do that. I see more upside when it comes to the options. I do have some options that I left behind, and I'm going to be banking those on the fact of seeing what happens with WHO going in for next week. But overall, these are the strategies I want to make sure you're aware of, especially if you're watching OCGN and you have a good idea of how it moves and when it has a bad day or when it has a good day. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll be talking real soon.